I have said on many occasions, or at least one or two, that Explorer is my favorite Magic Arena format. Occasionally, people will tell me that they wish WotC would just hurry up and get Pioneer on the client, but how different is Explorer from Pioneer really? Well, it's different. Different enough that I don't think they're the same at all, but they're closer than you might think, and to illustrate this, let's look at some of the top decks in Pioneer. Let's start with Rakdos mid-range. It plays cards like Blood Tithe Harvester, Shieldred, and Bone Crusher Giant, all of which are legal on Arena, as are Graveyard Trespasser, Kroxa, and Misery Shadow. In terms of removal, the deck plays Thoughtseize, Fatal Push, and Power Word Kill, which are all on the client, not to mention Fable of the Mirror Breaker, Reckoner Bankbuster, and Liliana of the Veil. The deck is technically missing 2 cards from its main board, that's Dreadbore and Urborg, neither of which are played heavily. Then we have Abzan Greasefang. This deck is fully complete. Every Pioneer card played in this deck is available in Explorer. The only thing missing is Abrupt Decay. This card is played about 60% of the time in sideboards. Silence is also played occasionally, although rarely. Next is Green Nykthos. We have Elvish Mystic, Llanowar Elves, Wolf Willow Hollow, all legal in Explorer, as are the big devotion enablers like Old Growth Troll, Cavalier of Thorns, and Kiora. Storm the Festival, Karn, and Nykthos are all on the client as well. In fact, we're only missing one key piece from the main board, and that's Oath of Nissa. Now, this isn't a small thing. It's an important piece of the deck. Pioneer decks play 4 copies of this card 100% of the time, so this is important, and it is indeed missing, but it's 1 card out of the entire deck. The sideboard for this deck is very relevant though, because Karn pulls things out of it, and all the key pieces are available in Explorer. Tormod's Crypt, Pestilent Cauldron, Pithing Needle, Stone Brain, Sky Sovereign, Cityscape Leveler, Haywire Might, Damping Sphere, Transmogrifying Wand, Essegis Chariot, God Pharaoh Statue, Filigree Silex, all available on Arena. We have 1 card missing from the side, and that is the Chain Veil. So this deck is complete except for 1 card in the main board and 1 card in the side. Next we have Azorius Control, which is also 100% complete. Well, sort of. This one's weird. So we have all the win conditions: Wandering Emperor, Teferi, Shark Typhoon, all playable, as well as all the counter spells, all the removal, all the board sweepers. So what the heck are we missing? And it's weird, we're technically missing Prairie Stream. This seems like a weird choice. Why would the deck be playing Prairie Stream? And it's because the deck is playing more basic planes at the moment to enable lay down arms. The Prairie Stream isn't necessary. You could just replace it with another dual land and just play the planes and lay down the arms. But technically the tier 1 decks are often playing Prairie Stream, so there you go. We're missing 1 card, Prairie Stream. Also, Hallowed Moonlight has become a popular sideboard card, not just in this deck, but many white decks, and this is also technically missing. Still, the main board is 100% complete with the exception of 1 very replaceable dual land. This continues with most competitive Pioneer decks. Gruul Vehicles, complete. Selesnya Angels, complete. Azorius Spirits, complete. Rakdos Sacrifice, complete. Red Aggro, complete. Mono White Aggro, almost complete. The deck plays 1 copy of Kytheon. So close, 1 card. Not just 1 card, but 1 copy of 1 card. So at this point, you might be wondering, why do we even call it Explorer? Why not just ditch the name entirely and just call it Pioneer? I mean, we are basically Pioneer, right? We're missing 1 or 2 cards from a few decks. Many decks are complete, but not exactly. There are some decks I skipped, and that's because the entire archetypes are unplayable on Arena. The biggest one is Lotus Field combo decks. The overwhelming majority of this deck is playable on Arena. Almost every single card, from the combo lands to the game finishers, but some of the key enablers like Hidden Strings, Sylvan Scrying, and Dark Petition are all unavailable, and this makes the entire deck currently unplayable. This is also true for creativity decks. We have creativity, we have the token producers that combo with creativity, but we're missing the two creatures that this deck typically goes for to combo off, and that's Xenagos and Worldspine Worm. Now, you can technically still play this deck by putting different payoffs in. In fact, there is a version floating around Explorer with the Locust God. It's the same deck, it just replaces Xenagos and Worldspine Worm with this combo instead. And I've seen some people playing Emrakul as well, but Xenagos and the Worm are played in Pioneer, and these are currently unavailable on Arena. Another archetype that is totally missing from Explorer is the Bring to Light decks. These decks use Bring to Light to generate a ton of card advantage. They used to play Niv Mizzet, they were known as Niv to Light decks. Nowadays they use Omnath, some people call them Omnath to Light, though I think that name is kind of silly. I believe some of them are now incorporating Atraxa because Atraxa does a very similar thing, but basically, without Bring to Light the card on the client, all the Bring to Light decks are just unplayable. Another deck worth mentioning is Izzet Phoenix. This is another one that is almost entirely complete. All the creatures are available, most of the spells. In fact, the deck went from being very incomplete to being almost finished with Shadows over Innistrad. This deck is like 90% done, but it's still missing Treasure Cruise, Temporal Trespass, and technically Izzet Charm. I say technically because like 40% of decks play Izzet Charm. It's not always played, but a lot do, and it's currently unavailable. Treasure Cruise and Temporal Trespass are played very heavily, so you can definitely still play Izzet Phoenix on Arena. I've done it, it works pretty well, but it's still technically incomplete. So overall, I think we are extremely close to Pioneer on Arena. Almost every competitive Pioneer deck is represented, and most of them are only missing a card or two. If you were to watch an Explorer video on Arena, as a Pioneer player, you might not even realize you're watching a different format. Well, except for the part that, it's being played on Arena. However, I don't feel comfortable saying that Explorer is close enough to Pioneer that we should change the name. With decks like Lotus Field, Bring to Light, and Creativity basically entirely missing, I don't think it's accurate to call the format Pioneer just yet. But we're close. Much closer than people realize, and I don't think it'll be much longer before we abandon the Explorer format entirely and rename it Pioneer. We really only need like maybe 10 or 15 cards total, and it'd be close enough that I'd say, yeah, that's basically Pioneer. So yeah, guys, we're closer than you might think. If you haven't been paying attention, we're actually pretty close. At least in terms of having the metagame on the client. We still need the depth, the cards from all the other sets, just in case the metagame shifts. But I mean, we're closer to getting Pioneer on the client than I bet most of you even realize. So yeah, there you go. So now the question is, when are we getting Modern? When are we getting Modern? Guys, Modern? Hello? Modern? Anyone? Come on, we know you want Modern. Come on, let's do it. I want to play Affinity. Who wants to play Tron on Arena? Who wants to spend wild cards on Modern Horizon staples? Come on, what would make Arena better than Ragavan, am I right?